A warm welcome to the Welcome and Talk community. I'm Glenn, your host. Today we have joining us USPC. Here to speak about the project is the creator of USPC, Jay-Z. It's around real estate investments for investors. So we'll be discussing that and the tokenomics of the token and a lot more shortly. But first, can you introduce yourself with your background and experience, Jay-Z?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me here. Hi, guys. Thanks for listening. My name is Johnny Zhang. I'm Chinese, born and raised in Wuhan, China, and I came to United States when I was 22 years old in 2012. And I studied in UK before that. So once I get to US, I started my real estate asset management company called Premier. So for the last decade, we managed to develop over $2 billion worth of real estate. So and during the journey, I was investing, and I always keep my eyes on the blockchain and everything. So I just couldn't, find the value, that intrinsic value that I want to invest, because like I'm a more real estate guy. I like something tangible, but I also like the technology. So right around end of 2021, I was like, okay, well, it's getting really popular right now, and why is nobody doing something with real estate? On the blockchain, it's like it makes perfect sense, right? To have use blockchain technology, make real estate investing more accessible, make it more liquid. There's so many more benefits. We can talk about it later. But I just look at all the projects on the market. I don't see anybody doing this legitimately. I mean, for some reason, maybe those founders don't know real estate. They're not a real estate investor like me. So I decided to come out with this USPC. Its full name is United States Property Coins. So basically, USPC represents a share of corporates, that owns the real estate in the US. So essentially, it's like a Web3 REITs, which goes by Real Estate Investment Trust. For some people who are familiar with this term, it's been going around for a few decades. It just is where the first fractional ownership of real estate investing came around. And it's been around for a long time. And I'm taking this to a next step by introducing blockchain to make it more decentralized and make it more liquid. So that's a short background.
Okay, great, Jay-Z. So you've got the Premier company. Is that your company that's buying the real estate for the investors?
Yes. So Premier is my asset management company, and we also develop a lot of properties. So one of the property USPC currently owns right now is a property that we built ourselves, that we contributed to USPC as a seed asset. So it's a Venice Beach property, and it's a rental property at Venice Beach, California. It's worth about $10 million with $260,000 gross rents coming stably right now.
I see, Jay-Z. And what sort of real estate investments are you doing? Are you doing like retail, rental? Are you updating distressed sort of properties and reselling? How does it work?
So as my background, we do pretty much everything. We did single families, custom homes. We did retail property developments. We did multi-family developments. We did office. We did industrial. Pretty much did everything. We have a whole in-house development team. Including architects, contractors, property managers, leasing agents. And I also have an investment bank about 2019. So we pretty much do everything from A to Z in terms of real estate. So USPC will be able to leverage the resources, experiences, and network and capital that Premier will have to back this token out there. So we pretty much do everything. But for USPC, I want to make sure USPC it has a really super reliable, safe strategy. So the way I designed it is USPC will put the majority of its capital towards multifamily real estate. So in my opinion, multifamily real estate will be more of the most stable asset class in the real estate. And there are people always need housing, and that's something you can get away with it. You don't need cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. You don't need gold. You don't need anything to live, but you need housing. So in my opinion, housing is always the most needed, scarcity assets. So I'm using the housing to back real estate. So, and housing is, in terms of that, is like one of the best inflation hedge. So whenever inflation goes up, housing goes up. So plus you can rent out as rental income. So majority of USPC's property will be a rental housing project, so mostly multi families.
Because yeah, as inflation's high, then people want to own physical assets like property, gold, anything to hedge against sort of the money being inflated away in the bank, which is around 8, 9, 10%. I think it's 15% in the UK here. So I'm wondering if we go into a recession this year, there's going to be opportunities for real estate to buy maybe foreclosures and go into the auctions to buy properties at a lower price as well for the future.
For sure, for sure. I used to study in England. I was there for 7 years. I invested in UK too. So that market is it doesn't matter housing is in my opinion is always stable, but I like US real estate the best because I think it's most stable, and the US has a growing population. There's more immigrants coming to US than any other country. So the population growth is always there, and the more population there is, the more demand there is for housing, and we always have a housing shortage here in US. And if you look at the historical trends of real estate, pretty much everywhere in the world, the real estate always goes up, and most of the time it always beats inflation, right? In my opinion, that's the best inflation hedge. If you really want to compare real estate with, say, other inflation hedge assets like gold or maybe a precious metal, in my opinion, I still think real estate is better because you can't really do much with them. They might be a good inflation hedge, but you can't do anything with them. Real estate, you can rent them out, right? You can still have passive incomes coming from it. That's another really good like a benefit of holding real estate is they have this passive income that coming every month to you, that where you can't really have it from other assets, right? And real estate is like can be stolen, it's always there. The scarcity asset. I mean, the gold, it costs money to actually store it, right? So in my opinion, real estate is actually better than gold to back your currency. So another like ambitious I have is, if Bitcoin can be used as a future currency, not being used to transact peer to peer by Tesla or server, and then USPC, if it's backed by a real estate portfolio that's like diversified and large enough, why we can't use USPC as a future currency to buy, cars and other items, right? And then because it's more stable, and if there's enough people recognize the value of it, it can be a perfect medium of exchange, which is way better than like say gold-backed currency, and because they're not as stable actually, because the face value stays the same. When inflation goes to 9, 10%, 15% UK, your buying power just goes down that much, right? So it's not really a good way to store value in currencies. So
definitely, Jay-Z. And you've got the USPC token. Is there like a floor price because you've got real life assets in the real estate?
that's right. So every USPC holder is essentially my shareholder, my investor, right? I have the answer to. So and every USPC represents a share of a company that holds a real estate. So the share price, we have internal book value. We're assigned to the share. Say we have 10 million asset, we have 10 million token outstanding. Then each token is worth $1 on the book value, right? That's the real estate value plus their intangible value of the USPC itself. Mostly is book value on the real estate. Now, the secondary market is now trading at over $2. Is a digital finance is a first exchange release date on. That's speculative. That's kind of out of my control, right? So we publish the book value of USPC quarterly on our own portal, so people can see the real asset value of USPC, and whether how they want to trade it, afterwards, then that's just depend on the market.
Okay, so
But I'll say though, compared to a lot of other currencies out there, right, you don't really know their fundamental value. For example, Bitcoin, the price is driven by the supply and demand, right? And so is other coins. Is that you don't really know the fundamental value of it, right? So at least in USPC, the real estate value. You can go check the address, you can see the comps. There's a lot of methods for you to check the value of those real estate, so you can actually at least come out with a value that most people would accept.
Definitely, Jersey. And what sort of real estate are you investing in? Are you sort of concentrating on the rental market? Is it just in the United States? Are you looking to go global?
Yes. So we are only focusing on the U.S. That's why it's called the United States property coin. So, because in my opinion, U.S. real estate is compared to other markets, is still the most, I guess, in my opinion, most reliable, right? is a safer investment compared to say emerging country like Latin America or China, where I come from, and the other countries. I think U.S. real estate is always the best and is most safe. It has actually great growth potential as well. Like I said earlier, the population is growing and the people are spending more, and the housing is always needed. So so USPC only invest in the US for now.
I see, Jersey. And are you sort of concentrating in certain areas, up and coming, sort of looking at the demographics of cities and stuff? I mean, some places like Silicon Valley, it's crazy prices to rent or buy there. So what sort of areas in the United States are you concentrating on?
Right, we're not concentrated. We only invest in US. That's already concentrated enough. So we're going to be diversified. We're going to be investing in different cities. The first city assets is in Venice Beach, California. I will call it Silicon Beach in Southern California. But we'll be planning on buying assets in New York, Miami, maybe Austin, Texas. We want to buy assets in a great assets, right, in a great location at a fair price. We don't want to overpay, but we don't want to, we're not looking for huge discounts to buying those property. The investment strategy I have is to buying those great asset in a great location. So that way the assets are pretty safe, right, in terms of like future growth. Because I know if I buying this good asset in a good location, say Los Angeles somewhere, I know this asset is going to still be popular 40 years from now, right? But if I buy in this say in Detroit, I don't know what's going on, right? So we're focused on growing cities and with the growing populations in the U.S. And if things change, we always, of course, we can get out of it, sell those property, and move on to the next markets. But we intend to buying properties in a good location that we know is going to be safe for next long term, a few decades, and we want to hold it as long as we can. So we're going to be a net buyer and not a seller. So the plan is to buy as much property as we can and hold them and just enjoy the passive returns coming from those rental properties. One of my goals to have USPC becomes one of the largest landlords in the U.S. and owned by the people that hold the token.
Okay, great, JZ. And how does it work for investors? I think there's a quarterly distribution yield for USPC holders. So do you have to hold a certain amount? How does it work each quarter? Does it get airdrop to the wallets their share of the USPC rental and retail state profit?
So that's a good question. So the investment strategy is pretty simple. Where we're buying property and we're getting rental incomes. However, we do not plan to give out cash dividends to the token holders. We want to accumulate those rental incomes and then reinvesting them to buy more property. So that way, give us a compounded return methods. We can actually grow our portfolio a lot faster than if we just give out 90% of dividends. That's what the REITs do, right? All the REITs have to give out 90% of the rental income to the investors. A lot of investors actually eventually choose to reinvest for the DRIP, right? The dividend reinvestment plan. They actually choose to reinvest those dividends, but then they have to pay tax first, and then reinvest those net proceeds after paying tax into the property. When they reinvest those in the REITs, and the price might go up, right? So it's not a really good way to do it. So I think we know real estate a lot better, and that with compounded interest, this kind of method, we can actually create a much better returns compared to other REITs out there, because this compounding effect, which is, according to Warren Buffett, is the eighth wonder of the world, right? I love it myself. That's why I like buying real estate and hold it forever. I don't want to sell them, right? So we do not plan to give out cash dividends. However, we do have a plan to give out token dividends. So we'll airdrop USPC's token to the investors. So they'll actually get more tokens in their wallet than they can sell those tokens. So we do not do that right now, but we do have a plan to do that in the future. So but because it's a token, so the token be owned fractionally. Say USPC is $1, and if it grow to $100 per token, people can still buy it, like 0.001 USPC, start owning any amount they want, because we can go to 18 decimal, right? So people still own it fractionally. So the pricing of USPC is not really a big deal per se. So So issue stock dividends, just like USPC giving more tokens, really doesn't make a lot of sense. We have in a white paper, but we haven't do that yet. Another reason we didn't do it because we foresee we have a lot of foreign investors, and then it's going to get really complicated on taxes if we start giving out cash dividends. So this is going to be another accounting burden that I don't think is necessary for the investor to incur. So we rather save that money and then keep those rental incomes to reinvest them and create more value over the long time for the investors. I think still getting those value, although it's not cash dividend to them, but they're still getting those value reflected on token price, and then they can sell the token at fractional of a token when they need cash out.
I see, JZ, and you're going to have it's going to be a governance token with a DAO. So I'm wondering how the DAO will work. Will it be based on how many tokens you have, to how much voting rights you have, and what sort of things the investors will be voting on?
Right. So these we're planning to think like a rounding down, like you vote for a big decision of a corporation, right? So because like I said earlier, it's a share of a corporation. Every USPC is a share. So you basically vote as a common shareholder, just like when you vote in any other company, say you bought Apple stock or anything else, you can vote, right? So we're going to basically have a DAO system that we're going to allow token holder to vote with their token. Say if you have one USPC, you have one vote. Or you have 1.5 USPC, you still have one vote. So you need like at least one entire USPC to vote. So you have two USPC, you have two votes. So a lot of people do votes, say for board of directors, the charity costs we're doing. So right now I'm thinking about what we're actually kind of investing in affordable housing. So creating more affordable housing for the citizens, residents in the U.S. to actually, be able to live in those nice houses, paying less money, and that's another thing we're trying to issue. So people can vote for board of directors, charity causes, and they're like big decisions, like say, hey, should we go to this city buying this property, or this city is going down? Should we, get out of this city and go somewhere else? Because of the DAO is so a lot of people to vote online, so much more efficient than traditional voting system. So we'll be able to really engage with our community, with our investors, allow them to participate as much as they can.
Awesome, JZ. And you launched in November 2022. I'm wondering how the tokenomics work. So, was there a private sale? Was there an IDO pre-sale? How it works for investors? And if there's a vesting period if there was a private sale before launch?
So we actually have to postpone our public sales. So the new public sales on March 1st, which is in like less than a month. And because we have to build this entire portal that's allowing investors to go in to see the offering to buy them, right? But before they can buy it, they have to be KYC'd, and they have to be valued as credit investor to the U.S. investors, because again, these are security tokens, so we'll have to do everything to comply with the law. And so we actually build this customer smart contract to be comply with all the security laws. But also we need to make sure the portal can support the investor to make sure whatever they do is in compliance to make it easy for them to buy the tokens while they trade it. So because of delay on the portal, so we have to delay like a few months for the public sales. And during that time, we haven't actually made any sales. We made a very small private sales to just basically, the people we know, and those are institutional investors, but small.
You cut out there, JZ. Whether your mic was muted there, JZ? I think we've lost JZ there, Chris.
Yeah, I'm a message. Actually, let me call him real quick and see.
We've also got a video in the shared chat as well, if anyone wants to play that about the.
Yeah, sorry.
JZ.
I got a call coming, and then I think that's a job. Sorry,
Okay.
I got a call coming, so everything was sort of like stopped.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah, we lost about 20-30 seconds there. If we can just roll back.
Okay.
Did you want to continue or you want to move on?
Yeah. So what I was saying, I don't remember where I was cut off.
Sorry, but yeah, what we were talking about, the the launch is going to be in March, and the tokenomics breakdown for investors, and if there's going to be a
Okay.
buy and sell tax. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know where I was cut off, but okay. So I'm just gonna start over again. So the new launch date public sales will be March 1st, and then we did some private sales before that, and so we have about 8 million, a little bit less than 8 million token outstanding right now. You can see them on Etherscan. It's all public information. All the token we issued is out there. And on March 1st, this is when we're gonna do our first public sales. What will publish the portal we build, and investors can go there and look at offerings, then find out what offering they're eligible to participate.
I see, Jay-Z. And have you had an audit on the smart contract, or will that come closer to the launch?
Sorry, say that again.
Audit on the USPC smart contract, or will that come closer to the launch?
The smart contract is already done. Like that was finished mid of last year. We're just wrapping up the portal, the portal that goes along with the smart contract. Allow people to, connect the wallets, get a KYC, get a credit investor validation if they're US investors, and if they're foreign, they don't need to do that. And then so they can see the offering, then start, paying with crypto, or doing bike wire. Just that's the whole part that we were a little bit late on. But the smart contract was like finished mid of last year already.
Yeah, and I'll hop in real quick. He's talking about an audit, like we were talking about hiring a company to do the contract audit. But with USPC, yeah, we just decided not to do that. It hasn't been necessary at this point because we're actually using the ERC 1400 contract, and it's a security contract that's on the Ethereum network, and we're using that contract to implement our project. So that contract is already audited and pretty airtight. So there wasn't
okay,
let me cover. Yeah.
Let me cover, Chris. So the reason we're using we didn't get audited because the ERC 1400 smart contract is built for security tokens, and we actually customize it too. So we're not just exactly that. We're actually morphed from it, that we have the ability for ourselves. But because it's an upgradable smart contract, it's not like ERC20 where you issue the token and nobody can change anything about it. Nobody can issue more token, whatever, right? It's upgradable smart contracts. So we can actually, make more tokens when we have more monthly message coming. So the token's not minted all at once like ERC20 where people just mint, say, 2 billion token, then sell them slowly from the wallets. We actually mint USPC as we see investment coming in. So the token are minted gradually as more investment coming in. So we have a policy where we don't mint token USPC unless we have assets coming in, whether it's cash or property, right? So that's a policy. Because we want to do that, that means our contracts are upgradable. There's two. So when it's upgradable contract means we can actually burn tokens as well. Say that's actually come with a good security benefit. So if you bought USPC and your wallets, like now, of course, once you buy USPC, the USPC is stored in your Ethereum wallets. Now, if your wallets got hacked or you lost your private key, whatever, I can't really help you with other tokens like Ethereum or Dogecoin, whatever other coins, but I can actually help you get your USPC back because your value, your investment is actually stored in the real estate, right, that you own indirectly through the corporation. That the share of the corporation will never be stolen because we have like 3 places we'll keep the 3 different backup records. One's on blockchain, one's on internal record, one's the third-party transfer agent. We have 3 different places to keep all the backup. So your record of ownership will always be there. If you lost one on the blockchain, and then you file a police report, we validate everything, we can actually burn the tokens on the other guy's wallet, the hacker's wallet, whatever, then to actually reissue you a new token. Because again, like I said, your value is stored in the real estate, not in the token. The token is like a form of stock certificates, right? But you don't need it, to be honest. But you have it because you can self-custody and you can transfer peer-to-peer 24/7. You just give it more benefits. So So token is like next generation of stock, but it's still a stock, means it's secured, right? So because of that reason, we don't see this necessarily to get it audited, because what auditors are going to do, they're going to say, okay, they're going to see if there's any, whatever part where this content can be altered. I mean, we already know it's going to be altered. We can't alter it, right? I'm the only one that can alter it, but it can be altered because of the reason we'll have to stay in compliance with the law, because the law can change too, right? If the law change and we have to comply with the law, I don't want to go back to rewrite a smart contract again, right? So we have to be able to upgrade the smart contracts to make sure we comply with the law as well, right? So that's the reason we didn't get audit. Sorry, I didn't hear you about the audit question. I thought you just asked me.
I get it. Yeah. And going into the marketing, how are you looking to promote the real estate portfolio to investors going forward, say over the next quarter?
Right. So we have a large pipeline of real estate we're going to acquire, right? So as more, round we closed, right? No money raised, selling the token. When you use those proceeds, literally 100% of them, like maybe a small chunk will have to go pay for the cost of the offerings, but almost everything else will go towards buying the properties. So the property I've identified the most in Southern California for now. Depends on how much money we raised, and then we can actually go buy other properties. So in our offerings, we actually list the other potential pipeline property we can buy in the next like 2-3 years. So we have identified probably about 500 million worth of real estate we can buy. So the goal is to raise that much money than to buy those real estate.
Great, Jay-Z. And if there's anything we've missed you wanted to go over, or we can do a recap for any investors that have joined the call, say the first 15-20 minutes, go over the USPC project. Right.
So I think you asked some really good questions. What I want to add on is because real estate, in my opinion, is the best asset you can ever have. And I've seen a lot of billionaires got rich from real estate, right? And there's more people got rich from real estate than anything else I've seen. And it's really stable too, right? You don't have to worry about the ups and downs. People also need real estate, So one thing that real estate have is like, if you invest something in real estate, it's not going to go to zero, right? You know it's always going to be there. Maybe there's short-term fluctuations, when the market is going bad. But if we're holding a rental property, we're actually having those positive income coming. We don't sell them at down markets, then there's no effects, in my opinion. Over the long term, it's always going to grow up. So real estate, in my opinion, is the best thing to have. And the reason why I want to use real estate to get tokenized, to offer people the opportunity to invest in real estate, because I want to share this asset to everybody else. The traditional problem that real estate investment have is, first of all, it's really complex to buy them. It requires a lot of capital, and you have to know what to do. You have to find a property, do your inspections, get a mortgage. It's really complex to buy them. It takes a long process, and the cost of buying them or selling them is really high. And it's illiquid, right? You can't buy a house today, sell tomorrow, right? So unlike stock or crypto, you can just do that, right? So traditionally, real estate has not been a primary tool for average people because they can't afford to buy them. But I think real estate is the best asset everybody should own, right? Especially, it's the best asset to hedge against inflation. We're actually beating inflation. So by tokenizing a real estate portfolio, will basically allow real estate to be so cheap where anyone can buy it. Like I say, real estate start with $1. You can buy with $1. If you don't have the money, you can buy with 0.01 USPC, start with 1 cent, right? So anyone can buy real estate, and because it's not decentralized, as a token, you can self-custody. You don't need a bank. You don't need broker dealer. You don't need an open brokerage account to buy real estate. If you want to buy a REITs, right? Normally, you would have to actually have open brokerage account, right, in your country. Then go buy a REITs there, and then you can't really withdraw your shares of the REITs, right? You have to basically sell those shares, get cash, withdraw cash, right? And there's a risk of your shares go to zero because your brokerage can go bankrupt, right? Then your shares that owned by them actually is going to go to the bankruptcy courts and being claimed by the creditors before you do. So that's the big problem we have, like FTX, right? People deposit their tokens on FTX. Now, actually, FTX actually owns your token. So when they go down, then everything goes along with them, right? So that's what I like about blockchain. So people can self-custody their thing. So So when people buying real estate and self-custody, that's those real estate in their own wallet. So that accumulates all their middleman risk out there, right? And then they can actually build their wealth, right? With real estates. Now they can finally, buy real estate with any amount of money they have, regardless of age, gender, color, where they're from, income level. So anybody can buy it. You make real estate really accessible to everyone, especially in the world. So if you are in UK, you want to buy REITs in US or real estate US, it's really hard, right? Or especially if you're in maybe somewhere else, like if you're in Latin America or Africa, Nigeria, it's gonna be really hard for you to buy a real estate in US, especially if you don't have the money, like maybe you have $100 savings, you can't do it, right? So with the USPC now it's possible. You can actually, doesn't matter where you are, as long as you have internet, you can buy USPC and hold decentralized. And then eventually, when enough people recognize the value of USPC, you can use the currency. In my opinion, this will be better than dollar, right? US dollar. Well, right? Because US dollar is not even backed by gold anymore, and the governments keep printing more money. That's the whole reason. One of the majority reasons why we have inflation, because they're printing too much money, right? And so the money is actually not given to the people; it's just they're spending somewhere else, right? So having a real estate backed currency, I think is going to be one of the really good alternative way to have a saving in a safer place than holding a dollar or in other risky asset, right? So
Jay-Z, I do like crypto, virtual sort of currency. Some people are a bit cautious, what's it backed by? But if you've got real life assets like real estate, backing the token, then obviously it creates a floor price, because if you've got 10-15 million dollars of properties and rental coming in, the token can't be below that sort of price. So as you expand into the future, then connecting sort of real life assets to crypto tokens is the way forward, definitely. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but it's been great speaking to you, Jay-Z, today from the USPC project that you created here, and welcome to us for education and research. We recommend you check out the website and the white paper, and if anyone's got any more questions, join their official socials. We have the links in our main chat, and there's a video in the main chat as well if you want to go through that short video to explain it as well. Thank you very much for coming today, Jay-Z. It's been great speaking.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, take care. I'll finish the recording, send over a copy for you to share with your community, and I'll send that into our main chat for anyone who couldn't join the call tonight.
All right, thanks.